Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of ABM, Brazilian Metallurgy, Materials and Mining Association, be welcome to our webinar. My name is Eduardo Cortes de Castro, and I am General Manager of Product Development at Companhia Siderúrgica Nacional and Vice Director of ABM Rio de Janeiro. This event is organized by ABM Rio de Janeiro and coordinated by our director, Ieda Maria Vieira Caminha, who is also Director of the National Institute of Technology. Our guest and speaker today is the Professor Thomas Sebastian Lager from Mälardalen University, School of Innovation, Design, and Engineering in Sweden, who I thank very much for accepting our invitation to share his most recent research work and his very extensive knowledge about innovation, a theme of great relevance not only for the companies but also to the countries. ABM, an entity with more than 75 years of existence, through ABM Rio de Janeiro, is holding this webinar titled In Search of a Product Innovation Work Process of Excellence for Non-Assembled Product as part of the Digital Diffusion program with focus on technology and innovation. As we can see, Mr. Thomas Lager has a very rich curriculum as well very relevant contributions to the subject innovation. In his presentation, he will tell us a little bit more about his background. So I will let him to introduce himself in more details in a few minutes. The lecture will take 50 minutes and you can participate making questions or comments through the chat. When participating, please tell your name, country, and company. After the lecture, in the last 30 minutes, I will ask the questions and Professor Thomas Lager will answer. The questions can be made in English or in Portuguese. After the end of the works, you will be invited to answer a survey about the webinar. Please answer it to help us to improve our future events. Soon, this webinar will be available in the ABM channel in YouTube. Well, I'd like to thank you very much again for attending this webinar and Mr. Thomas Lager to be with us. Please, Thomas, you have the word now. Thank you again for being with us.
Hello. Thank you very much for the introduction, Eduardo. I will not go into further details of my curriculum, but I can only say that in conjunction with this presentation here for this association in metallurgy and material and mineral, I was previously head of the Boliden Mineral Product and Process Development before I started my academic career, and I am now a PhD in mineral processing, but also in business administration. So I will leave it with that, and I will start my presentation, which is about the product innovation work process for non-assembled products. I start with a little characterization of the manufacturing process in the development of non-assembled products. And one important difference between companies in the process industries and in assembly-based industries is that its supplied and delivered products are materials and not components. Products manufactured in the process industries are more or less homogeneous entities, and even if the products that appear low-tech to an unexperienced user, they often have a high material complexity, and their inherent, not visible structures often influence the functionalities for customers. Furthermore, incoming raw material characteristics will determine not only the choice of unit operation and the design of the total production process, but furthermore the production yield and sometimes the properties of the finished product. So, what is the family of process industries? It is the mining and metal industries, mineral and material, the steel industries, forest industries, food and beverage industries, chemical and petrochemicals, generic pharmaceuticals and biotech, utilities, sewage, waste collection, and totally this family of process industries is about 30% of the total manufacturing industries, but nevertheless, in management of innovation, it is scarcely researched. When you design a product innovation process adapted to process industry, in the process industry, the development of a new or improved product is in reality the development of a new or improved production process. And the tools are basically experimental facilities that try to mimic and simulate such new or improved production processes and setups. In consequence, and contrary to product innovation of assembled products in the design office, the development of the production process must commence already during the early phases of the product innovation work process in the process industries. And since the product innovation environment is so vastly different compared with the product innovation in assembly-based industries, the design of a product innovation work process for non-assembled products must be adapted to specific process in industrial conditions. I just briefly will touch on the BRICS process management fundamentals and the commonly used stage gate product innovation process. Well, Professor Thies earlier talked about the dominant management theory of company dynamic capabilities. And he stated, there is much management can do simultaneously design processes and structures to support innovation while unshackling the enterprise from dysfunctional processes and structures designed for an early period. As a consequence, a company's competitive product portfolio is not constituting a capability per se, which is more related to the underlying unique product innovation work process that deliver a stream of improved products into the marketplace. Such a product innovation process must be a transparent, well-designed product innovation process that will serve as a map and a compass for effective and efficient product innovation and should thus just image company innovation best practices and procedures. For new employees in a company R&D organization, such a product innovation work process should be an important part of a workplace introduction, getting acquainted with company best practices in product innovation. And for the experienced innovation practitioners, it should be a vehicle for sharing and accumulating new knowledge and operational innovation in a never-ending refinement and development of product innovation process of excellence. Robert Cooper delineated the product development process as a number of stages separated by decision points from idea generation to product launch. And the stage gate is nowadays considered as a de facto decision model for assembly-based industries. The underlying philosophy is separation of innovation part in smaller pieces, keeping investments low in the early phases. So the stage gate model is an excellent format in the development of a proper process decision structure, but it's not really serving as a guiding framework how product innovation should be executed. And because of the different conditions in the development of non-assembled products compared with product development in assembly-based industry, the standard stage gate model is not applicable in the family of process industries. So each company in the process industries must further adapt their product innovation work processes, not only to sectoral conditions, but to company-specific product market conditions. So now I will introduce the new research-based guiding framework and the generic structural process model for company development and design of a product innovation work process. This is based on the research program that included companies from the chemical, steel, forest, food and drink, and mineral industries. From Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Germany, Switzerland, USA, Brazil, Chile, and Japan. They were upstream and downstream operators, but all case companies were world-leading global corporations and often major players in the marketplace. So we initially developed a structural process model for non-assembled products. And as such, we didn't want to make it too complicated, but to make it usable for industry. And it was afterwards tested and discussed and further developed together with those case companies. And at first we decided on what we call a contextualization phase, sometimes called ideation, before you pass the first gate. Then you come to what we called the pre-product development. That could also be called a conceptualization. Before you pass gate 2, when you come into the real product development for product and process design. And for the final gate, post-product development, we call industrialization and marketing. And you can have a conditional work process exit, but you want to have a post-launch follow-up phase. You need a feedback loop for ideas, and you sometimes need supporting methodologies. You need to integrate sustainability perspective at all stages, and if possible, digitalize the stages of the work process. The big difference is that in normal assembly-based industries, you develop a product concept. Furthermore, you develop a product design and test marketing. Then you develop product service offerings and do the product launch. However, in the process industries, you need to very early start the concept development of the process design and process testing, and the industrialization and startup. I will now go through the different phases, and the first phase we call the contextualization phase in this model. This is aligning product ideas with the company business model, product innovation strategy, and existing product portfolio. including a contextualization phase, sometimes called productization, before entering the formal product innovation process, was generally considered best practice by the case companies, and it's recommended to include a product market brief, a production brief, and a raw material brief. A product market brief is a preliminary product description, potential target markets, assessment of customer benefits in use of a new improved product, and positioning the new product idea in the company's total product portfolio. And the production brief is then a preliminary assessment of a company's possibility to manufacture a new or improved product idea within its existing product system. This is what we call their process window, or in an extended production system capabilities, which we call the boundary conditions. Furthermore, we need to have a raw material brief, and it's a preliminary assessment of existing or new raw materials and ingredients that are necessary to manufacture a new or improved product. After you pass the gate 1, and I will not go into the gate details because that will be rather company specific, how you want to make the conditions to passing each gate. It will be some sort of a checklist. The pre-product development phase, that is transforming product ideas into multiple integrated, well-defined, measurable concepts. We can call it take the fuzziness out of the fuzzy front end of the work process. And because of the intimate coupling between the product and production process, it is not recommended to move from the pre-product development phase into the product development phase based solely on a product concept. The following complementary components were recommended by the case companies. Apart from product concepts, you need a process concept and a raw material concept. Sometimes, depending on industry, you need to develop a packaging concept that is special for food and drink industries. You sometimes need to develop a service concept, and often the logistic concept is fairly straightforward. Case company's recommendation was that you need to develop multiple concepts. It has 3.8 on the Likert 5-point scale. And now we are talking about multiple product concepts and multiple process concepts also. So when comment possible needed multiple concepts are developed, but at least 2 from the forest industries. We may start with one concept and let it evolve into another concept. Depends how certain we are about our initial concept. If a high uncertainty, supplementary concepts will be more important. And depending on the project, when we develop several product concepts, after testing lead to a winning product concept. So, from the contextualization phase, you deliver some simple product, raw material production and product briefs that develop further into this phase into raw material process and product and service concepts. Then you come into the product development phase. It's about scale up and validate new or improved product properties in the use of alternative product development test environments. It's moving product ideas from conceptualization to industrialization. The empirical findings show that during the product development phase, Full-scale test work in a production plant and pilot planting are the dominant experimental environments. Pilot planting usually takes place during the product development phase, but can also be an important instrument in solving customer production problems after product launch. I will not have time to go into the different testing environments, and the laboratory testing and simulation is often in the pre-product development phase. And in the product development phase, we have full-scale trials in available production plants and pilot testing, not so often demonstration plant test work. But the interesting conclusion in this study is that first of all, you develop a product design, that is the experimental output, a validated product concept with finalized product specification, and the delivery of material for further test marketing of new products. But however, the experimental output is in the process industry is also a process design, and that is a validated process concept and a finalized process configuration as a fundamental knowledge platform for further preliminary design of a new or improved production process, and sometimes for some companies, a design of a digital twin. We concluded also from the research results that there are three process design aspects of importance to simultaneously consider. The development and design of a production process that meet targeted product specifications. In the process industries, it is often so that you go out to a customer and the customer is telling you what kind of properties they want in an improved product. However, you have then to go home and understand how can we manufacture such a product. That is not always obvious. So this is a creative process of an innovating capability you need in the company. But furthermore, the development and design of a production process that can utilize an existing or upgraded production system. And that is what we call the process window. And here you must have expert knowledge of company internal production capabilities within the R&D management group. Furthermore, the development and design of a production process that is capable of producing the product and product varieties in a cost-efficient production setup. You have to consider the processability, or you can call it manufacturability perspective. And that is sometimes in collaboration with external suppliers of technology and equipment and raw materials. Afterwards, you come to the post-product development phase. And that is about integrating an industrialization sub-process and a product service offering sub-process into the total product innovation work process. This is what we call taking the bumpiness out of the bumpy back end. And this is in relation to the previous research on product innovation. It's always focusing on the fuzzy front end, but this project realized that we have a back end that is equally important. So comments from what we call informants from the case companies were management in post-product development phase is important to achieve commercial production and sales. This is a newly formalized part of our process as a result of an identified need. We may launch a product that is still development in progress, when the customers are involved in the improvements that follow the launch. And this is an interesting new idea coming up. We have put a lot of effort into this phase the last 3 years, so we are in a good position. So we come to what we call the industrialization of a new or improved product. And we, as such, we define it, and it's generally defined often, the activities of detail engineering and design and the related developed process, construction and erection of new or modified production system and the production process, startup of the production process. The results show that unfortunately current product innovation work process in stage gate formats sometimes pay limited attention to the processability or the manufacturability aspect in process innovation. That is how the new improved products can be industrialized in environmentally friendly, highly digitalized and automated cost-efficient production systems. Since the product and process are intertwined in the process industries and the production process is often inflexible and difficult to change in the short term, overlooking industrialization perspectives in the design of an innovation work process for non-assembled products will increase the techno-economic risk. So we have proposed an integration of a 3-phase industrialization sub-process in the overall process. We don't want to change the definition of the industrialization process of the design and the erection and the startup of new productions. So we introduced the format of a pre-industrialization activity. So you start early to consider how to industrialize your new ideas. But furthermore, we recommended to have a post-industrialization activity. That is, that after the product is launched on the market, there may be further optimization opportunities within the production system to meet customer demands. The industrialization sub-process was estimated by the case companies to be extremely useful. Industrialization should be more recognized, especially from an organizational aspect, which I don't have time to go into now. The model agrees well with our operating practice, and the post-industrialization phase may last about 1 year. Yes, this is how we take on innovation. A useful model. The 3-phase model represents a real-life process in the food industries. In company design or reconfiguration of a product innovation work process, it's not only important to target innovation of the core product, but it could be advantageous to simultaneously consider optional complementary product service offerings. It is recommended to develop a specific product service offering strategy in a company's overall strategic framework and business model for product innovation. A comment from one informant in the chemical industries was, in our company, the product service offering strategy is the overarching corporate strategy. 2 comments from the steel industries were, We need to improve in this area. One informant in the food and drink industries responded, "It's not a clearly articulated strategy, but it ought to be." So, the proposed model we have for product service offering development as a sub-process to the overall product innovation work process. And you previously heard about you possibly sometimes should develop a service brief before entering the product innovation process. You could possibly also develop further on a service concept, and the different perspectives from different sectors were that sometimes such service concepts are not developed specifically for each project, but on a more project family level. A service concept should be developed into a product service offering, and also develop a launch strategy for products and together with a product service offering, and also application development. All case companies recommended to integrate product service offering in an enhanced product innovation work process. You can see some difference here because we have number 2 only, not so important for one food and drink industry, and one is very useful. The background for this was that the service concept were considered to be on a higher level, not on a project level. A service can be the core element of a product. Service is a part of the product. We like the analogy with the overall 3-phase model. Good to include from the start, but we will be more explicit during product development process. The proposed 3-phase product service offering model is a best-in-class model, and we were very happy for that comment because that was the biggest food and drink company worldwide. Furthermore, we also have in this model integrated what we call the post-launch follow-up phase, and invigorating the use of application development after product launch, making a step-by-step transformation from a product supplier to a solution provider during an extended follow-up phase. Application, as we define it, is not product development as such, but the significant development of business-to-business customers' use of a supplying company's product. The development is primarily intended to optimize and to improve a customer's product and/or production system. It was considered by the case companies that application development as a key solution-oriented service in the process industries, and the importance is considered to be very high. "11 out of 30 informants responding to this question recommended this activity to be included in an enhanced work process, and 17 out of 19 acknowledged that the outcome for business-to-business customers should be both improved customer products and processes." I have not time to present some other perspectives from the feedback loop, supporting methodologies, sustainability integration and digitalization, and the different gate contacts. But in principle, I just want to reflect and comment that in many companies, not in the companies which are globally world-leading companies, but in many minor companies, product development is restricted to the pre-product development and product development phases. The new thing is that we definitely recommend to insert a contextualization phase, a phase where ideation can start, a phase that is very open, the funnel is wide for new ideas that can be digested before it can be further more presented as selected briefs to be allowed to pass into the formal product innovation process and pass gate number 1 structure. Furthermore, many companies assume and regard that product innovation is finished when product development phase is ready, before passing gate number 3. I don't think that is the philosophy from this project, because the philosophy in this project is that the product development is actually not finished until the product is meeting the customer and is being operating together with the customer. And that is to say that the industrialization phase should be included in the product innovation work process together with a post-launch follow-up phase on how the product introduction went. And that is, I think, an important recommendation, and that can secure an effective product launch. I think my time is running out now, and of course there are much more to say, much more details, much more things I haven't had time to speak about, but the results from this research program are being published in scientific journals of a good standing, which unfortunately takes a very, very long time. However, the total findings will also be published in a book format next year, similar to my previous book on process innovation, which is available on all online bookshops like Amazon. The new book will then be called Managing Product Innovation of Non-Assembled Products. I hope to visit my good friend Professor Paulo Figueiredo in the business school in Rio de Janeiro next year for a longer stay, and I hope I then can have an opportunity to give more extended company seminars, if possible, in the Brazilian process industries. If you have any further questions or desire further info about after this webinar, do not hesitate to contact me on the email thomaslager@mdu.se. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, Professor, thank you very, very much, and congratulations for your very valuable work. I believe that it will give a great contribution to the management of the production innovation process to all of us. I have a couple of questions here, and maybe you could address some attention to them in order to clarify the subjection. The first one is how to preserve knowledge even when the company has migration of more experienced professionals and integration of new professionals. You mentioned it in the beginning of your presentation.
I think that is an extremely important aspect, and it's you do bring it up now from the steel industry perspective, but if you look at the pharmaceuticals, it's just the same thing there, and to keep things secret in the pharmaceutical, it is they need to patent, or but it's difficult to keep secret nowadays. But the problem you discussed took up is how to keep or preserve and maybe also disseminate the knowledge among the, and I think sometimes a good product innovation work process could serve such a purpose. I think not only to be a pure decision model for companies to say to now you pass this gate and so on, but the work process should accumulate good experiences in the product innovation management, so to say. But there are also other aspects, and that are in the use of methodologies. If you, for example, use a methodology like quality function deployment, you have a matrices, but you save an enormous lot of knowledge about the products and the different aspects of product innovation. You save the tacit knowledge into that process. But that is my answer.
Okay, thank you. I have a message from Hélio Cardoso. Excellent lecture. Thank you very much. And I have another question from Rodrigo from CSN here in Brazil. Could you comment more about development in progress? Is it well practiced between steel makers and automobile industries in European automotive market?
Could you repeat that question?
Could you comment more about development in progress? Is it well practiced between steel makers and automobile industry in European automotive market?
Development in progress. What exactly are you inquiring about that? I'm not quite sure I got this.
Okay, I'll make you another question, and then Rodrigo can give more details to clarify the question, okay?
Yes.
The other question is, what would be the best opportunities of improvements in the companies could do in order to become more effective in the product innovation process?
That was a dear question to me, and I think I will say to improve the product innovation, that is to develop a very good product innovation work process, and because that process could capture the knowledge how to do and speed up product innovation. If you let the process not be only a gate structure, but to some sort of a collection of best practices that the company could accumulate, I think a good work process as such is fundamental, and it's overlooked. I think it's sometimes you look at it as some sort of administrative thing that you must pass and so on, but you must change the perspective of the process. You must change it into a learning process that people understand if I use the process, I can benefit from it, not only to fulfill obligation to pass a gate, but I can learn from it. But if I would add another thing apart from the work process, I would like to, of course, say a company product innovation strategy. And because that product innovation strategy is the first gate for new ideas, so to say, in the contextualization phase. You have to comply with the product innovation strategy. So the strategy is determining what kind of ideas you would like to go further into your process. So I think more strategy work, not to leave the company product innovation strategy on the bookshelf, but to use it as an operating document. And finally, then also, it is an old saying in management that culture need eat strategy for breakfast. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. That is, if you have not a good, proper, innovative culture in your company to anchor the product innovation work process, it is a futile arrangement. And that is the conclusion also from this project. That is, it is important also to develop an innovative culture that will stimulate new products. So that is my answer.
Okay, very good. Another question. Have you observed different patterns amongst the sectors in their profile of innovation process? Could identify any kind of best practice in the use of stage gate model?
Yeah, thank you. That is a very, very interesting question, and it is. I can say that sometimes it is advocated that there are so many sectoral differences that it's difficult to apply the same system or same process to different sectors. And I, of course, have some sort of a contingency perspective that each company must try to develop a very unique product innovation process that fits their business environments. But the interesting thing is that no, I don't think we have found so much differences in between the different sectors, and that is something that's very important, because as you see, I am a proponent that we could learn between sectors. And I actually have a workshop, bi-yearly international workshop, trying to learn across sectoral differences. And because not only that, if you talk to somebody in the food and drink industries, and then you go to somebody in the mineral industries, there are many things in common. They do the same development work. They do pilot planting. They build demonstration plants. They need to have contacts with the business-to-business relations. So there are so many useful things you can learn between the different sectors. But furthermore, we have a phenomenon today which we call sectoral convergences. That is sectoral convergences, and that is sectoral crossing the borders to other sectors. That is because sometimes the tailing or the tailing from one sector could be used in another sector in a product, and you can, by combining the different capabilities, you emerge different new sectors. And for example, in the food and drink industries, they combine with pharmaceuticals when you talk about healthy food, and they combine also with the cosmetics. So there you have a sectoral convergences. So in answer to this interesting question, it is, I think, between the family of process industries, they are so similar, so they could learn a lot from each other, and there should be more learning in between. But there are not, because there are not so much difference between them, because the production system is so much similar. So.
Very good, thank you. Another question, how the best companies manage the process of acknowledgement? In other words, how they generate and accumulate knowledge in order to succeed in the development of new products and processes.
That is a dear topic also to me, to knowledge management, and I think it was not the topic, the detailed topic in this big inquiry, because it was, we did a very big questionnaire with possibility for comments, but we didn't touch so much on knowledge management, and I think that actually this is a topical area that is a bit underestimated also in the big companies. We do have this kind of things going up and down. If you remember 20 years ago, everybody was talking about total quality management, and then a period with knowledge management, and then there come another period with different things, and it seems to that like this important area sometimes are forgotten. So I am a proponent actually for improved knowledge management, and I have written another book about a methodology called quality function deployment, and I call it a knowledge management perspective. So, thank you.
Okay, another question is, once product and process are closely connected, how the companies are managing both, considering that they are related to people's knowledge and new technologies associated with equipment?
Yes, that's interesting. I think I think in general in innovation management, when you talk about product innovation, it is for assembled products. It's not so closely related to the production system, so to say. But in the process industries, they goes hand in hand. So I think that the topic of process innovation, if we look at it from a time perspective, I should say if I look 20 years back or so, it was more people were talking about process innovation, and then gradually product innovation became more and more important also in the process industries, and that there is a organizational perspective here also. That is to say, it's a little, I think, depending on how to organize your. Sometimes product innovation is organized separate from the process in innovation, so to say, and sometimes they are process innovation is incorporated also in the product innovation organized. It's we do have an organizational perspective here, and I think it's the most important part is not really if I mean it's depending also if you talk about a radical process innovation or incremental process innovation, and if the process innovation is related to the product innovation. But I think the most important thing is to focus and remember that you must have a cross-functional collaboration. And that is to say, that is why the model I presented is your product innovation. You must start with process innovation. You must collaborate with, if process innovation is organized within production, which it is sometimes, you must secure that people from process innovation are involved early in the product innovation process, because it's sometimes forgotten in management that it's not only to develop the product, but you must also manufacture it.
Yeah. Very good. Well, and coincidentally, we are talking now, the next question, about incremental and radical innovation. Was in your research possible to measure the level of innovation of the companies from incremental to forefront of the sector? If yes, can you associate the most succeed companies to the best use of the stage gate models?
I think this is related to the weakness of the stage gate model. You see, because initially it was launched by Professor Cooper in his book, Winning at New Products, and I personally a friend of Cooper myself. They forgot in this early development that we do have product innovation that is very incremental, and sometimes you have radical product. And the stage gate must treat those different projects differently. That is to say, if you have a stage gate system with the gates similar to both radical and incremental, you delay the incremental innovation. That is why later on Cooper suggested a faster stage gates. He said full stage gate, light stage gate, and stage gate express for different complexity of projects. But in my research, the conclusion from the case companies is that it's not good to have different models for different, but you should have different gate structures. So if you have an incremental product innovation idea or project, you should have different gates checklist for a very radical project, because then it's much more complicated and difficult, costly. So the recommendation, which you will see later in my publications and book, is that you should not have different processes, but you shall have different gate structures depending on the complexity of the project.
Okay. Well, another question. You detached the post-launch follow-up phase in your presentation. In your opinion, how important is this phase? Have you observed significant differences amongst the company in order to indicate best practice?
Yes, I think one of the really important conclusions is that all companies recommended strongly to have a follow-up phase. The problem is, of course, that by definition, a project must have an end. So if you are responsible for developing a new product, it must stop somewhere. And generally, I say it stopped after product launch. But so that gate you saw, we call it a conditional gate, because we find that it's so important that the product development team can follow the product further on in the customer's use of the product. Because not only can the application development and the development together with the customer to maybe modify the customer's receiving process to fit better to the new product properties. And that is to say that sometimes a new product need to have modification of the customer's production system in a business-to-business relationship. And it's important then that the knowledge from the company can also be used in this kind of, but in that part, the knowledge of the application developer must be very much in the customer process technology and not so much in the company process technology, so to say. But finally, the application development is a superb instrument to collect customer input for the next generation of products. So the feedback from the follow-up phase is considered by all case companies to be extremely important to give the feedback for new ideas and new product development phase.
Good. Some way you anticipated the answer of the next question. How important are the customers in the development of new products? Please tell us more about their role.
I think I used to say that product development always begin with the customer and finish with the customer. So that is the overall perspective. It's truly important. It's truly important with the customer collaboration, but it's also important if you look at some new ideas, which you call design thinking. That is, you should not always focus only on customer and end user, but you must focus also on the service and maintenance and so many other things. That is to say, you need to be so close to your customer, and in a Japanese fashion, you call it Gemba. Gemba, that methodology, I hadn't had time to present all the methodologies we explored here, but Gemba is called by walking in the customer's shoes. That is, and some companies prescribe that some of their product developers should stay with the customer and see how the customer is actually using the product, and in the process industries, that is to say that the company should have people together with the customer together in his production system, understand how the supplied business-to-business product is being used within the customer domain, and they get hands-on feeling on what can be improved in the customer, and that you can call also walking in the customer's shoes, or sometimes it is called going native. Yeah, you have to go together with the customer.
Good.
So the customer input, I would like to say, because I can, if somebody is interested, I did have another publication called about the quality function deployment methodology, and that is focusing on customer input in all details in the formulation of good concepts, and how to when you meet the customer in business-to-business office say, well, I want a product with that compressive strength or something. And then you must ask the customer, why do you want a high compression strength? And then you go to the root requirements. And that is what I'm saying. So when you talk about customer interaction, I answer the question. You start with the customer and you finish with the customer. It's totally important.
Good. And I have a more specific question related to the same subject from another person. It was commented in the presentation about the development in partnership with the client. Is it common practice between steel makers and automotive industries in Europe?
I am not definitely sure on we do have one steel producer, the SSAB. It's a big company making what you call plate or structure, but we do have other steel industry manufacturers also doing some other type of. I can't say I can give you a firm answer on how deeply they are involved with the customers, but I think in customer relationships generally, I feel it can be improved. That is my general, and I think I have more information about the mineral industry. We do a company I have been assisting, and they of course try to work very intimately with the customers, but there is one problem always, that the customer information is sometimes collected by marketing department or the people from sales and marketing, and sometimes sales and marketing, if I may say so, are more interested for the present sales than to find out the future of qualities of the product they are going to supply to the customer. And that is why I think I find that the application development and the technical services, if they handle the application development, are so important as a giving feedback to so. But as a final answer, I think collaboration with customers should be generally improved also in the steel industry in Sweden. That's my that is my and the specific relation with the automobile. We only have one producer here, is Volvo in Sweden. It is of course they have a relation with SSAB, but I'm not sure about the specifics.
Okay, and the last question, have you identified other important connections with different partners, both in the product and process innovation? What would be the most relevant partnership observed?
Partnership between different companies? Is that
between companies, customer, suppliers, and different kinds of partnerships that contributes to the innovation?
I'm not sure I can give an up-to-date answer, but this issue was, I remember that was an R&D management conference specifically related to strategic alliances, and I think in for example in Europe, because I arranged a large workshop for the process industries in May in Frankfurt, and we then had the presentation from Aspire, which is a collaborative joint project between the process industries in Europe, and it has a big European foundation and support. And I talked with him who were responsible, and I said to him, I noticed that you focused very much on the collaboration within the production system between the companies. And is that because it's more difficult to collaborate when you talk about product innovation? And his answer was yes, it is. When you talk about production system in the process industries, it's very open within the European. But when you then enter the product innovation, it's more difficult for if you talk about. Because in process innovation, we have a tradition in Sweden to be very open, to be very collaborative, to be very open with the production results. But when you talk about product innovation, it's more secretive.
Very good. Well, I think that it's the last question.
Okay.
So now the webinar is finishing, and I'd like to, at first, acknowledge everybody who allowed this event to happen. So thank you very much for all the team from ABM, especially Ana Cristina and Tatiana for the arrangements, Ieda, IBM director, for the organization, and you, Professor Thomas Lager, for your outstanding work and presentation, and to the audience who stayed with us and made this event so special. So see you in the next webinar, and thank you very, very much for your contribution. It was a great pleasure to meet you and having you here with us. I hope to see you soon, maybe next year when you come to visit Brazil. Okay, thank you very much, Professor.
Thank you. The pleasure is on my side.
Okay, bye. Bye. See you, everybody.